Sonia Sotomayor, a Jewish girl in the Bronx. You never know what may happen. Sometimes the most beautiful moonflower blossom in an unexpected place, on a changed link fence, near broken glass, next to an abandoned building, watered by someone whose name you may not even know. And sometimes the most amazing person blossoms in just such a place as well. So it was with a little girl named Sonia. Her blossoming began with her mother's love and hard work. Oh, how Sonia's mother loved her. She worked night and day and night, as a switchboard operator, just so she could pay for Sonia's and her brother's private schools. She had never made it past the third grade when she was a girl, but she sure wanted her children to. They live in a public housing project in a part of New York called the South Bronx, a place where most people have precious little money. And Sonia's family was no different, with only their mother to support them. You see, Sonia's father had died when she was 9 years old, leaving just an empty chair and much sadness. But you can't give in to sadness when your children need to eat. This is why Sonia's mother worked and then came home and cooked pork chops. To Sonia, this was heaven. Oh, how she loved her mother. When Sonia's mother wasn't cooking or working, she was studying. She wanted to become a nurse so she could make better wages and help her children even more. While Sonia slept, sometimes her mother stayed up until midnight doing her homework. There was nothing she would not do to help Sonia or her brother. Sonia loved the world her mother gave her. Her mother and father were from Puerto Rico, and Sonia grew up surrounded by the tastes and sounds of Puerto Rico culture. A favorite meal was Spanish rice and beans, and she loved the big family parties where merengue music filled the air. Arriba! On Saturday night, Sonia family and friends will get together. While the grown-ups sat in one room playing domino, Sonia and her cousin played loteria, a Latin American bingo game. Sonia abuelita will shout out the number while the grandkids marked their cards with chickpeas. Sonia's family surrounded her like a warm blanket. And she was also surrounded by books, school books, library books, a set of encyclopedias her mother had saved all her pennies and nickels and diamonds to buy. And when the school work was done, there was her favorite book, the Nancy Drew mystery novels. Nancy Drew was a girl detective who was always on the go, solving crimes. She was unstoppable. That's who Sonia wanted to be. But then something happened that made her change her mind. When she was only 8, her doctor set her down and told her some bad news. She had a disease called diabetes. If you had diabetes, you had to take several shots of medicines a day for the rest of your life. So maybe she wouldn't be Nancy Drew, but that didn't mean she wouldn't be unstoppable. Her favorite TV show was Perry Mason, about a courtroom lawyer. One episode ended with the image of a judge, the most powerful person in the courtroom. A light bulb went on about Sonia's head, and she knew she will become a judge. Become a judge, thought, that's not easy. Sonia knew she'll have to get really good grades to become a judge. So while other kids may have been goofing off, Sonia was studying at her mother's kitchen table, year after year, after year, after year. It paid off. By the time she graduated high school, she won an award for being the very best student in her whole school. What an honor. You can imagine how proud her mother was. This was her daughter, her Sonia, ay bendito. What an honor. Sonia's grades were so good that she was accepted at one of the very best colleges in America, Princeton University. This too was an honor. But Princeton was not the Bronx. Where were the subways? Where was the merengue music? Where were the people who looked like her? For the first time in her life, Sonia felt scared and shy and very out of place, almost like she was on a different planet. During her first week, she heard a cricket in her dorm room, and it scared her. What was this strange insect? As it turns out, it wasn't in her room, but on the tree outside her window. Growing up in the projects, Sonia never had a tree outside her window. And growing up in the projects, Sonia never had the sort of luxuries her classmates took for granted. Most of the Princeton's kids had grown up taking tennis lessons and vacations in Europe. They went skiing over Christmas break. Many of their parents and grandparents had gone to Princeton too. Suddenly, Sonia was aware of being poor, of being Latina, of being inferior, Where was the warm, comfy blanket of her family? Oh, how she missed them. In similar shoes, some people may have gone back home, but Sonia was like a flower, vain, that would not stop growing. She would not just survive this strange new world. She would thrive. She would spend her first summer break reading all the books she never had time to read before to make herself even smarter. She will become the head of the club for the handful of Latino students at Princeton. She will push herself to her limits, studying day and night, night and day at the library, and graduated with the highest honor of any student in her class. Success comes to those who make the most of the chances they are offered in life. Sonia did become a judge, and a good judge, too. She was known for working very hard and always being very prepared for every trial. She was also known for having no patience for lawyers who weren't prepared. You better not mess with Judge Sonia. Yet she was known for much more than this. Unlike many judges, she had grown up in poverty. She has grown up as New Yorkers. She has seen things most other judges had not. People she grown up with had gone to jail. People she had grown up with were poor, and many of them weren't as lucky as she had been. They all had trouble learning to speak English, trouble finding jobs. Unlike many judges, she knew firsthand that prejudice was what it was to be judged for your background. In the world of judges, this made Sonia very special. Oh, but Sonia, the very special judge, did not stop there. No. You see, Sonia was offered the chance of a lifetime. She was invited to the White House by none other than the President Barack Obama, because President Obama had decided to nominate Sonia to the best job a judge could possibly have, to be Supreme Court Justice. Justice is a fancy word for judge. The Supreme Court is the highest court in the nation. Supreme Court decisions help shape the law of the land. This was huge. There had never been a Latin American on the Supreme Court. How strange this was. There were so many people of Mexican, Puerto Rican, Dominican, and Cuban descent, adding color to the great garden that is America. Why shouldn't all these people have someone who understands their lives on the Supreme Court? She was one of the most respected judges in the court. She was a perfect choice. This was an honor beyond anything Sonia, in all her beautiful flowering, had ever imagined. But all this announcements ceremony, Sonia spoke about her mother rather than herself. I have often said that I am all I am because of her, and I'm only half of the woman she is. Then, speaking straight to her mother in the audience, she said, I thank you for all that you have given me and continue to give me. Her mother cried and cried. This was her daughter. It wasn't over, thought. There were some bumps on the path to the Supreme Court. A broken ankle, which didn't slow her down one bit, and angry people calling Sonia names like racist just because she was proud to be a Latin judge and not ashamed to say it. And day of tough questions from the panel of 19 senators. A row of white faces, most of them males. But this didn't stop her. Nothing could stop Sonia, the dynamo from the Bronx, from making a history as the nation's first Latin American Supreme Court Justice. Ay bendito, you never know what can happen, especially when you water a flower.